The New Orleans Saints could come sniffing around the Detroit Lions roster looking for a trade during the 2025 NFL Draft. Let's talk about it. Hi, Mike Payton from A to Z Sports Detroit. Today we're going to talk about how the New Orleans Saints could very well be looking to trade for Hendon Hooker during the 2025 NFL Draft. First, let's talk about some background. You go all the way back to the 2023 NFL Draft. One of the teams that was the most interested in Hendon Hooker, probably more than any team, was the New Orleans Saints. Mickey Loomis, really loved that guy. They had him out for a top 30 visit, met with him at the Combine, had extensive talks otherwise, virtual interviews, talked on the phone. The Saints wanted this guy, and they probably wanted him in the third round, and they picked shortly after the Lions picked in 2023, but the Lions got there first. And now here we are going into the 2025 season. It hasn't really worked out for Hooker and the Lions. I know that obviously there are a lot of Hendon Hooker fans out there in Detroit Lions world. And I get that. He was a really fun player at Tennessee, really exciting. It's one of those guys I hope would work out too. But here we are, year 3. He's going to be 28 years old in January of this season. At this point, he's not going to be the successor for Jared Goff. I think we know that at this point it's not going to happen. Goff is going to be with the Lions until 2028 at the latest, 2027 at the earliest. And at that point, Hooker's going to be in his 30s already at the end of his rookie deal. It's not working out. The Lions did a lot last year that told us that they just didn't believe he was quite ready yet. There was, you go back to summer during training camp, the Lions were talking the whole time about the possibility of carrying 3 quarterbacks, and they might have done that had Nate Sudfeld not been, really bad. And you go to, later in the season, there was some interest in Daniel Jones after the Giants released him. The Lions were reportedly one of the teams that were significantly interested in signing him. That didn't wind up happening. He went to the Vikings. And then, a few weeks later, as the playoff push is happening and the Lions are about to go in with the first seed, and they decide to sign Teddy Bridgewater out of retirement and immediately place him right above Hooker. It doesn't mean that Hooker's a bad quarterback. I don't think that he is. I think that there's a lot of possibilities for him in the league. I have never understood the pick, if we're being completely honest. It never made sense to me because of his advanced age already. He was 25 when they picked him. He had to miss an entire year. And then, last year, it seemed like he just wasn't ready to be an NFL quarterback yet. And now here we go. We go into the 2025 season. Maybe he can get a better shot somewhere else. There's a real possibility the Lions could draft a quarterback this year. They already signed one in free agency, Kyle Allen, who's Brad Holmes told us at the league meetings in Florida that he believes will compete with Hendon Hooker for that quarterback 2 spot. So we'll see where things go. But if the New Orleans Saints want another crack at Hendon Hooker, they could certainly take one. And they have reason to do that right now, that Derek Carr is probably going to miss this season. The Saints do have the 9th pick, and there's a possibility that they could draft a quarterback, but is the guy that they really want going to be there? There are teams, in the top 5 that are the Titans, the Giants, the Browns. These teams all need a quarterback at this point. And, maybe the Saints won't have an opportunity to take one with the 9th pick. So you go for a trade. And now what can the Lions get? The Lions used a 3rd-round pick on Hendon Hooker, and I know Lions fans probably want that in return, but that's just not going to happen. At this point, the Saints are taking on all the risk. They're taking on a player who hasn't really shown much in the NFL. You're taking on a player who you just hope is going to be good for you and hope works out in your system better. And that's why I think the best thing that the Lions could get would be a 6th-round pick. Now, this would be a top of the 6th-round pick from the Saints, almost nearly a 5th-round pick. But this would be the deal. Lions get a 6th-round pick. Saints get Hendon Hooker. We see where things go from there. And I believe Hendon would have a much better time in New Orleans. I think he'd have a much bigger opportunity to play in New Orleans than he would in Detroit, a team that is just so dead on keeping Jared Goff and so dead on having Jared Goff be a huge part of their offense and huge part of manufacturing their offense. Hooker just needs a different place to play, and I think the Saints would be the way to go. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll see you next time.